Larry the Cable Guy, whose real name is Daniel Lawrence Whitney, was born on February 17, 1963, in Pawnee City, Nebraska. Growing up in a small rural town, Whitney was immersed in the values and culture of the Midwest, which would later heavily influence his comedic persona. Though he had a good run at the beginning of his career, Larry faced some major challenges later on that changed the course of his career forever. Join us as we go into the details of these events. Larry's father, Tom Whitney, was a Christian minister, and his mother, Shirley Whitney, worked as a waitress. This background provided Larry with a grounding in strong family values and an understanding of hard work and dedication. Tom's role as a minister likely contributed to Larry's storytelling abilities and his knack for engaging with an audience, while Shirley's job as a waitress helped instill a work ethic and a connection to everyday, relatable experiences that would later become central to his comedic persona. As a child, Whitney was known for his quick wit and ability to make people laugh. He often entertained his classmates with jokes and impersonations, showcasing an early knack for comedy. His humor was grounded in everyday life, drawing inspiration from the quirks and lifestyle of small-town living. Larry initially pursued higher education at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, focusing on drama and later switching to communications. However, he found himself increasingly drawn to the world of comedy and performance, which clashed with his academic commitments. As his interest in comedy grew, Whitney began performing at local venues, gaining recognition for his unique style and humor. This budding passion for stand-up ultimately led him to prioritize his growing comedy career over his studies. The demands of juggling both college and comedy proved challenging, and Whitney struggled to maintain focus on his coursework. Eventually, the allure of pursuing comedy full-time became too strong to resist. Whitney made the difficult decision to leave university before completing his degree, opting instead to devote himself entirely to his craft. This decision marked a turning point in his life, setting him on the path to becoming the beloved character known today as Larry the Cable Guy. It was during this time that Whitney began to experiment with various comedic personas. He found that audiences responded well to characters that embodied the spirit of the Midwest, leading to the creation of Larry the Cable Guy. This persona was a humorous take on the stereotypical Southern blue-collar worker, complete with a thick accent and relatable catchphrases. Larry quickly became a hit, resonating with audiences who appreciated his straightforward, down-to-earth humor. Whitney's early years were not without challenges. Breaking into the comedy scene was difficult, and he faced the same struggles as many aspiring comedians, which included finding gigs, building a reputation, and developing a loyal following. However, his persistence and dedication to his craft eventually paid off as he began to gain traction in the stand-up circuit. Throughout his early career, Whitney remained connected to his roots, often incorporating stories from his upbringing into his routines. His humor, which often highlighted humor in everyday situations, endeared him to audiences and set the stage for his later success in the comedy world. The early life of Larry the Cable Guy was marked by a combination of rural charm, family influence, and a deep love for comedy. These elements came together to form the foundation of a character that would go on to become a beloved figure in American comedy. Whitney's ability to draw from his experiences and connect with audiences through humor was key to his eventual rise to fame. Before settling on the persona of Larry the Cable Guy, Daniel Lawrence Whitney experimented with several comedic identities in his early career. He initially performed under his own name, exploring various styles and characters to find his comedic voice. Whitney tried personas that ranged from straightforward stand-up to more exaggerated and character-driven approaches. The breakthrough came when Whitney developed the character of Larry the Cable Guy during a radio interview in the early 1990s. Inspired by the Southern blue-collar culture he grew up around, Larry the Cable Guy emerged as a caricature of a rural cable installer, complete with a thick Southern accent and humorous anecdotes about everyday life. This persona resonated immediately with audiences, who found his relatable humor and down-to-earth charm refreshing. The event that marked Larry's first notable appearance as this character was during his radio segment. His portrayal of Larry the Cable Guy struck a chord with listeners, leading to increased popularity and demand for his comedic performances. This debut not only solidified his identity as Larry the Cable Guy, but also laid the foundation for his future success in stand-up comedy and entertainment. In the early stages of his career as a comedian, notable collaborations with other like-minded comedians helped Larry grow in his craft. Among his early collaborations was that with Jeff Foxworthy. Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy are now both iconic figures in the world of comedy, known for their unique styles and relatability. Their paths first crossed in the early stages of their careers, leading to a fruitful collaboration that would leave a lasting impact on the comedy scene. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, both comedians were carving out their niches in the stand-up circuit. Jeff Foxworthy, who had a knack for observational humor centered around Southern culture, was gaining attention with his "you might be a redneck" jokes. Meanwhile, Larry the Cable Guy, with his character embodying a humorous take on the Southern blue-collar worker, was developing a following with his catchphrase, "Get our done." Their initial meeting was a blend of mutual respect and shared comedic sensibilities. Both comedians appreciated each other's humor, which was rooted in the everyday lives of their audiences. This connection laid the groundwork for a collaboration that would elevate both of their careers. The turning point in their collaboration came with the creation of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour in 2000. Alongside fellow comedians Bill Engvall and Ron White, Foxworthy and Larry the Cable Guy set out to create a comedy experience that resonated with the average American. The tour was designed to showcase their brand of humor, which was accessible, relatable, and deeply rooted in Southern and blue-collar culture. Foxworthy, already an established name, played a pivotal role in bringing the group together. He recognized the potential of combining their talents and capitalized on their complementary styles. Larry's character-driven humor paired well with Foxworthy's observational wit, creating a dynamic and engaging show that appealed to a wide audience. The Blue Collar Comedy Tour was a massive success, resonating with audiences across the United States. The camaraderie among the comedians, along with their shared focus on relatable, family-friendly humor, set them apart from other comedy acts. Their performances were filled with laughter, anecdotes, and an authentic connection with their audience. The tour's success led to multiple spin-offs, including television specials and feature films. It also significantly boosted Larry the Cable Guy's profile, propelling him from a regional act to a national sensation. His collaboration with Foxworthy and the other comedians provided a platform for him to reach new audiences and solidify his place in the comedy landscape. Beyond the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy continued to collaborate on various projects. They often appeared together on television shows, radio programs, and other comedy specials. Their friendship and professional relationship remained strong, with both comedians acknowledging the impact they had on each other's careers. The influence of their collaboration extended beyond their performances. They helped to popularize a style of comedy that celebrated Southern and rural culture, bringing it into the mainstream and challenging stereotypes. Their humor, often self-deprecating and affectionate, resonated with audiences who saw themselves reflected in their jokes. The partnership between Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy left a lasting legacy in the comedy world. They not only achieved individual success, but also created a brand of comedy that continues to influence comedians today. Their emphasis on relatability, storytelling, and authentic connection with audiences set a standard for what comedy could be. The early meeting and subsequent collaboration between Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy were pivotal moments in both of their careers. Together, they forged a path that brought blue-collar and Southern humor to a broad audience, leaving an indelible mark on the comedy landscape. Their partnership is a testament to the power of collaboration and the enduring appeal of humor that speaks to the heart of everyday life. Larry's big breakthrough came when he joined the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, a pivotal moment that catapulted him into mainstream success. In 2000, the Blue Collar Comedy Tour was launched, featuring Larry alongside Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, and Ron White. This tour focused on humor that celebrated everyday life, particularly from a Southern and blue-collar perspective. The camaraderie among the comedians and their relatable material created a refreshing experience for audiences. Larry's character, a humorous take on a Southern blue-collar worker, quickly became a fan favorite. His catchphrase, "Get our done," became synonymous with his brand, encapsulating his straightforward, relatable humor. The tour was a massive success, reaching a wide audience and solidifying Larry's place in the comedy world. The success of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour provided Larry with a national platform. The tour's television specials and recordings brought his humor into millions of homes, expanding his fan base significantly. His character's blend of humor and sharp wit resonated with fans who saw themselves in his jokes. Larry's performances were filled with anecdotes and observations that celebrated the quirks of everyday life. His ability to connect with audiences through shared experiences and common struggles endeared him to fans. His humor, often rooted in rural and working-class culture, offered a sense of familiarity and authenticity that was widely appreciated. Fans across the country embraced Larry's humor for its relatability and charm. His jokes, often centered around family, friends, and everyday scenarios, struck a chord with audiences. The simplicity and honesty of his comedy made it accessible to a broad range of people, regardless of their background. Larry's character brought a fresh perspective to the comedy scene, challenging stereotypes and celebrating Southern culture. His approach to humor was both entertaining and engaging, allowing audiences to laugh at themselves and their experiences without feeling demeaned. This balance contributed to the positive feedback he received from fans. Following the success of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, Larry capitalized on his newfound fame. He released comedy albums that achieved commercial success, further solidifying his reputation as a top-tier comedian. His albums featured a mix of stand-up routines and humorous commentary, showcasing his versatility and appeal. Larry also ventured into television and film, appearing in various shows and movies that highlighted his comedic talents. His voice work in animated films, notably as Mater in the Cars franchise, introduced him to a younger audience, expanding his fan base even further. This diversification of his career helped maintain his relevance in the entertainment industry. Larry the Cable Guy's breakthrough during the Blue Collar Comedy Tour marked the beginning of a successful and enduring career. His ability to connect with audiences through humor that was both genuine and relatable set him apart in the comedy world. The positive feedback from fans and his widespread popularity are testaments to his impact on comedy. Larry the Cable Guy's big breakthrough during the Blue Collar Comedy Tour was a defining moment that launched him into national recognition. His humor, celebrated for its relatability and authenticity, received widespread acclaim from fans, establishing him as a beloved figure in the world of comedy. His continued success and influence are a testament to the power of connecting with audiences through genuine, down-to-earth humor. However, Larry met a stumbling block later in his career, with a decline in his popularity, and the positive reception that he was used to started to dwindle. As with many comedians, maintaining a consistent level of positive reception can be challenging over time. Several factors contributed to a decline in the enthusiasm for Larry the Cable Guy's comedy among certain audiences. One of the primary issues that might have led to a decline in positive reception was the perceived saturation and overexposure of Larry's comedic persona. Following the success of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour and his subsequent television and film appearances, Larry's character became well known in popular culture. His catchphrases and comedic style were widely recognized, leading some audiences to feel that the novelty had worn off. As Larry's popularity soared, he became a fixture in the comedy circuit and media landscape. While this exposure initially fueled his success, it also posed challenges in maintaining freshness and relevance. Audiences may have grown accustomed to his comedic formula, leading to diminished impact and excitement over time. Also, comedy trends evolve with time, reflecting shifts in societal norms, humor preferences, and audience expectations. Larry the Cable Guy's brand of humor, rooted in Southern and blue-collar culture, resonated strongly during its peak. However, as comedic tastes diversified and cultural sensitivities evolved, some aspects of Larry's comedy faced criticism. Critics argued that Larry's character perpetuated stereotypes about rural and working-class Americans. His exaggerated persona, while intended as satire, occasionally drew scrutiny for potentially reinforcing negative perceptions. As social consciousness increased, audiences became more discerning about the portrayal of stereotypes in comedy, impacting the reception of Larry's material. An instance of the bad PR he got with his style of comedy was when people began to tag him as racist and a bigot at some point, following his utterances. Larry's use of language and humor occasionally straddled the line between satire and offensiveness, challenging audiences to discern the intent behind his comedic delivery. While some defended his humor as harmless and reflective of his character's persona, others questioned the impact of his jokes on perceptions of marginalized groups and their experiences. In response to criticism, Larry has addressed these concerns in various interviews and public statements, emphasizing his intention to entertain without malice or intent to harm. He has acknowledged the need for sensitivity in comedy while defending his right to explore and lampoon cultural stereotypes through his comedic lens. Another factor that contributed to the decline in positive reception was the perceived repetition and predictability in Larry's comedy. Over time, some critics and viewers noted similarities in his routines and catchphrases, leading to a sense of formulaic delivery. While consistency is often valued in comedy, too much repetition can diminish the surprise and spontaneity that make humor engaging. Larry's reliance on his established persona and catchphrases, such as "Get our done," became synonymous with his brand, but also risked becoming stale for audiences seeking innovation and variety. As comedic tastes diversified, there was a growing demand for comedians to push boundaries and explore new comedic territory, which posed a challenge for Larry in maintaining audience engagement. Cultural and political shifts played a role in shaping the reception of Larry the Cable Guy's comedy. As societal attitudes toward issues like race, gender, and socioeconomic status evolved, so too did the expectations placed on comedians to navigate these topics with sensitivity and awareness. Larry's brand of humor, which often leaned on stereotypes and caricatures, faced scrutiny in this changing landscape. Critics argued that Larry's portrayal of Southern and blue-collar characters sometimes lacked nuance and depth, reducing complex identities to comedic tropes. In an era increasingly sensitive to representation and diversity, comedians faced heightened scrutiny over the impact of their humor on marginalized communities. Beyond external factors, Larry the Cable Guy's personal and professional evolution also influenced the reception of his comedy. As he navigated the highs and lows of fame, including personal challenges and changing industry dynamics, his comedic output naturally evolved. Audiences may have responded differently to shifts in his material and style, reflecting broader changes in his career trajectory. Larry's transition from primarily stand-up comedy to other ventures, such as voice acting and television appearances, signaled a shift in focus that impacted how audiences perceived his comedic persona. While these endeavors expanded his reach and diversified his portfolio, they also altered the context in which his comedy was received, influencing audience expectations and reactions. With the decline in his popularity, Larry had to take a little step back from his career as a comedian. There has been a significant cutback in the number of shows that he has been able to feature in lately. He has cited the need to spend more time with his family and explore other opportunities as the reasons behind these cutbacks. He has launched a kitchen brand of his own, making seasonings and other items, which are being wildly marketed using his popularity from his active days in comedy. Larry the Cable Guy has been associated with a line of steak seasonings. One of his notable products is Larry the Cable Guy's Get Her Done Steak Seasoning, which is marketed with his signature catchphrase. The seasoning blend is designed to enhance the flavor of steaks and other grilled meats, reflecting Larry's persona and humor in its branding. The Get Her Done Steak Seasoning is often sold online and in select retail outlets, offering fans of Larry the Cable Guy a way to enjoy his comedic flair even in their culinary experiences. The product's packaging typically includes humorous elements and references to Larry's Southern roots, appealing to consumers who appreciate his comedic style. Outside his personal ventures, Larry has also left a mark with his philanthropy and other charitable ventures. Larry the Cable Guy has been involved in various charitable initiatives and causes throughout his career. One notable aspect of his philanthropy is his support for children's hospitals and healthcare. He has been an active advocate and fundraiser for organizations such as the Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children in Orlando, Florida. Larry has participated in events and campaigns to raise funds for children in need of medical care, often leveraging his celebrity status to bring attention to this and other causes he believes in. Let us know what you think about Larry's career and decline in the comments, and we will see you in our next video.